Soul.
You're kidding. Just one shot?
They're not all zombies, Doug. How do you fight this thing?
Maybe we could drown it in A1 sauce.
Well, sometimes that is better. The person you put up there ain't the person that comes back.
It's a dance song to get down with. About 6 feet under. Get there.
Ooh, I love this song. I'm hung up in a grave situation.
And now we come to the thrilling final episode of our radio drama.
Hello and welcome to episode 136 of the Rotten Views podcast. Thank you for joining me on this journey that we've been on so far. Hopefully you guys enjoy this episode and all the ones before it. We have a really fun one in store for today. Well, I find it to be a really fun one. Hopefully you guys will too. But before that, I want to say thank you to everyone who's been checking out the podcast and for sharing it and everything along those lines. I appreciate everything you guys have been doing for me. It really does mean a lot. It really does help me out a lot. So if you guys can, once you're done this podcast, or if you want to do it right now, feel free to hit that share button. That means a lot to me. To share it with your friends, coworkers, and whoever else you want to. Whoever you think might enjoy my stupid ramblings on movies that a lot of people probably don't watch anymore. Let's be honest, there's probably not a lot of these movies that people keep revisiting, but hopefully I can find the right niche of people who enjoy all these movies, and we can create a little community together, and maybe get Patreon set up sometime, Discord channel set up. Who knows what's in store for the future. I know I've been working my ass off though. We got a bunch of artwork coming out. I started this new cartoon mashup series. I just did through a random cartoon generator online. I have it set to pick 2 cartoons. I don't think there's any timeline like years or anything set up in it. But the first one that it gave me was Krusty the Clown and the Powerpuff Girls. So that was an interesting piece. You can find that on my YouTube channel, on my Facebook and Instagram and everything else, on my Reddit page and whatnot. It was a fun piece, fully hand-drawn, fully colored with markers and everything. I'm going to maybe add a little bit more to it and frame it, maybe make some prints of it. I'm not sure yet. I've been contemplating doing the little craft fair stuff, getting prints made up or just selling the originals. I don't know. If people want the originals, definitely shoot me a message, and I'm definitely willing to sell anything that I draw pretty much. And I'm open to, well, not at the moment, not open to commissions, but we will be at some point in time. I just got a lot of stuff I need to catch up on, as always. We got some more series of those. The next one coming out is actually a mashup between Barney Rubble and funny enough, another Simpson character, Saiso Bob, which is going to be interesting. I'm still playing around with that, and I would love to animate them at some point in time, because in my mind they're doing the Dragon Ball Z fusion dance to become this one configured person. We probably will, for Halloween, we're going to keep the series going, probably make them a little bit more gruesome and graphic, maybe take cartoon characters and mix them up with horror movies. Who knows yet? I don't know what's happening yet, but that's just another thing I keep adding to my ever-growing list of art pieces to do. I've been filling up my little sketchbook as well. We're almost halfway done of the, I think, 100 and some pages. The last one we did, actually the last couple I've done YouTuber Boogie2988. We did a Fluffy Gabriel Iglesias comedian piece. We did a Markiplier, another YouTuber piece. I feel like there's one, the next one coming up will be a Mercules, so you guys can just really check out his music. I'll be posting YouTube short once that piece is done and tagging his music and everything into it, so hopefully he enjoys it. What else? I feel like I've been doing Abby's drawing series for lunch. She wanted some Animal Crossing drawings, so we got a week worth of Animal Crossing drawings, which actually blew up for me on Reddit, which is awesome. So we might do some more of those. They're fun little cute characters. Seems like people enjoy that kind of stuff. I enjoy doing the cartoon pieces. The cartoon pieces are a lot of fun. They allow me to be more creative. It's a lot, it's not as stressful as, looking at a portrait and trying to get it perfect. Doing portraits can be a real pain in the ass some days, because if you screw up one line for shading, it throws off the whole thing, or one wrinkle throws off the whole thing, or a piece of hair going the wrong way throws it all off, and then you're pretty much like, oh crap, how do I fix that now? Where a cartoon piece, you can just do whatever you want, and it's your own version of whatever. You want to try and stay close to the original, or you want to just do it wacky and crazy in your own style. All my artwork can definitely be seen on Instagram, the Facebook page, and the thing I've been pushing the most, as you guys probably know, is the YouTube page. We've been posting there a lot. We've been posting shorts. I've been posting the full episodes of the podcast, working on the back catalog. I'm trying to get caught up to the present episodes, and then I'm going to do all the older episodes. But yeah, we've been working on that. I've got some gameplay shorts. I got art shorts. I got a bunch of other shorts planned that I want to do. It's just getting the time to do them. It's a lot of work, but it's fun. It's very enjoyable to see people actually enjoying the content that I'm making. It actually means a lot, and it just it makes you feel good, like you're doing something good in your life. But yeah, every Wednesday we have a new video game a video game episode coming out, usually anywhere from like 12 to 20 minutes. I try and keep them a little bit shorter because I know people don't really want to sit and watch 3 hours of someone playing a video game when they're just as boring as I am. So I understand that, so we're working on it. And like I said, the podcast episodes come out throughout the week. Usually I try and do 2 a week. Sometimes it's only 1 a week. We're trying to get that hour count up because we're slowly getting that subscriber count up, where I think we're at 500 or over 500 at this point in time. So that's nice. It kind of varies. Some days it'll be up a little bit higher, than some days I see people unsubscribing. It happens. It is what it is. But yeah, please check that out. The links will be down below as always. But yeah, the YouTube page is the main thing that we've been pushing the most. But I know you guys aren't here to listen to me ramble, because if you want to do that, you can just check out the YouTube page. Get it? YouTube page? Listen to me ramble on there. But you're here to listen to me talk about a movie that I'm surprised I haven't done it sooner. But one of the reasons why I want to do it, and I want to try and get in, there's a cartoon series as well that I want to try and talk about as well. Not in this episode, but we will try and talk about it. It's because there's a new video game coming out for this movie, and the movie is from 1984. It's a horror comedy for an hour and 27 minutes. Toxic Avenger. The cartoon is the Toxic Crusaders, and that's what the new video game is based on. So I'm looking forward to playing that game. It's already on my watch list or whatever for Steam. I will be probably buying that the same month that it comes out. Probably not the same day. I'd never buy things the same day, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. This movie, you can watch it for free on Plex. I think it's on Tubi. I could be wrong, but it's also free, full length, and good quality too on YouTube. It's been up on YouTube for a while, so hopefully if you guys watch it there, that doesn't get taken down by this point in time. Hopefully none of that happens. I hope I don't get them a YouTube strike for content or whatnot. But yeah, there's multiple places that you can watch this movie, and I definitely highly recommend it. If you haven't checked it out, it's just a cheesy horror movie, and it's fun. It really is. It's super fun. It's got a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb, a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 4.5 out of 5 on Amazon.ca. Original release date was April 11th, 1986. Directors are Lloyd Kaufman and Michael Hers, and of course distributed in production by Troma Entertainment. It actually had a budget of $500,000, and it actually had a box office of $800,000. So that's a win-win. And I think there's also a new movie coming out as well that's in the works. But we're not going to talk about that at all. Quick little rundown. A 98-pound nerd from New Jersey, Melvin, lands in a vat of toxic waste and becomes a benevolent monster known as the Toxic Crusader. Let's see what IMDb actually says. Tromaville has a monstrous new hero. The Toxic Avenger is born when meek mop boy Melvin falls into a vat of toxic waste. Now evildoers will have a lot to lose. Not gonna talk about the cast because I don't really think there's much to talk about. I could be wrong, but most of these people don't even have a picture on their IMDb. So we're probably just gonna leave it at that. Is there a tagline? The tagline: not all monsters are scary to people, not if it's one fighting crime in the Garden State. It's a stupid tagline. Apparently a goof. During the love montage, there is a scene where Toxie jokingly puts a pylon on his head and Sarah laughs. Sarah's character is blind, so she can't laugh. Can't laugh at all, because she wouldn't see it. But that's okay. But yeah, there's not really much to say. There's like Toxic Avengers Part 2 and Part 3, and Citizen Toxic Avenger 4 from 2000, which I haven't seen that one at all. So we might have to check that out and see, because the first one was 84, and then they popped one out at 89, actually 2 out in 89, it says. That's crazy. And then the other one wasn't for till 2000, so that's kind of crazy. Anyways, we're getting right into the movie now. So as always, if you guys don't want to be spoiled of a movie that came out in 1984, feel free to pause it right now. But come back to the podcast. I really hope you do, because I need your listens and your views and everything, because that helps me out a lot, because I want to get a little bit higher up in the movie category for podcasts. On YouTube, it's helping me out a lot. I'm usually getting an average of like an extra 40 listens. If you guys help me out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Stitcher Radio, all that kind of fun stuff, I appreciate it. Leave a review and stuff. But yeah, definitely come back to the podcast, because we need you here. You guys make us happy. I don't know why it's us. There's no one else that does this podcast other than me. I do everything. That's why it's kind of sucks some days. Because I don't put a lot of research into things. I kind of just read on the fly and pull the pages all up on my laptop. In various tabs, so I know where I'm going. But that's about it, really. But anyways, enough of that crap. We're going to get right into the movie.
Presents Saturday Night at the Movies, the television series which each week brings you the finest in recent motion pictures. Tonight,
meet little Melvin. He's a 90-pound weakling. Everyone hated Melvin.
I'm gonna take this mop and shove it down your throat.
They teased him.
I want to do it with you. Okay.
They taunted him. They tormented him until he had a horrifying accident and fell into a vat of nuclear waste, transforming little Melvin into a hideously deformed creature of superhuman size and strength. Melvin became the Toxic Avenger, the first superhero born out of nuclear waste.
Holy shit!
I don't know what it was, but it saved my life.
All right, everybody, drop your tacos or I'll blow your brains out.
The vandals and the perverts had their way with the little people of Tromaville until the Toxic Avenger ripped them apart. The Toxic Avenger. His face is so terrifying. We can't show it to you now. You'll have to see the movie for yourself. The Toxic Avenger can bend steel with his bare hands.
Oh, we're on a kid. Get it?
Leap small cars in a single bound. He crushes drug pushers. Smashes hit-and-run drivers. For incredible, explosive action, you must see the Toxic Avenger. He's a different kind of hero. The Toxic Avenger is coming to your town. Look out.
The movie starts out with a skyline shot of New York City, and the narrator talks about it being the progress and wonders of man, creating all these tall buildings and whatnot. But with that also comes the population, which is caused by such is causing a lot of trauma. And then we see some toxic waste, and then we go over to Tromaville, the toxic waste capital, as we see Melvin. He's in the gym. He's the mop boy. He's the cleaning bitch, essentially, doing his work, and he's not very liked at all. And then we see the intro title pop up on the screen, and we see various people working out in this gym. Very unique characters. So it's like two, I'm going to assume they're gay guys, because they're in very small speedos, like, feeling up each other, and I think one of them's got like a magazine on him, and he's got like a hairy chest. It's whatever. And then we see a bunch of girls just working out in their bikinis, because I guess workout attire wasn't a thing back then, so they'll just come on their underwear and bras and bikinis and work out in that. I don't know, maybe. I don't go to the gym much, so I wouldn't know. One of the girls actually working on the gym, she's like full on like pants, sweater, got like 2 chocolate bars in the bare back pocket, and she's munching on food as she's working out, if you want to use the term working out. She's kind of just walking around the spot. And we see Melvin smiling up as he's dancing around, mopping the place. He's a really happy-go-lucky guy who's getting picked on every single minute. And then we see a couple couples in the hot tub. It's Bozo and Julie and Sludge and whatever the hell his girlfriend's name is. I don't really care. And they're going on about how much they hate Melvin and how he's not even good at cleaning and this and that. And we actually see at that point in time, Melvin is pretty horrible at mopping, because there's another person in the pool and he's mopping beside the pool, and he actually mops over the guy's face. And, that would be disgusting. I would hate that very much. Then his boss yells at him to clean up the toilet, and that's when Melvin goes to put the mop in the mop bucket. He's not looking though. He actually puts it in the hot tub where Bozo and his group is. And of course they jump out of the hot tub all pissed off. He's like, oh, you're really fucking up my mojo. Can't handle this. I'm a very stressed out person. I can't deal with this shit. And then they all just scream at Melvin because apparently that's the thing to do. And then they walk away. Then we see Melvin looking in the mirror as he's trying to flex his muscles, which are not there at all. He's got nothing. He's a toothpick. Then we see Sludge and his girlfriend making out in the gym, which is supposed to be empty, but even though we see Melvin in the background mopping, because apparently Sludge paid, I'm assuming the owner of the gym, $20 to have the gym closed for the night so they could make out and do whatever they want. And then Sludge and his girlfriend start talking about running over people, and that really turns her on, and the next thing we know, they're fucking on a bench. And Melvin hears them moaning and groaning and walks over, and he starts actually laughing and giggling, and he's stupid as fuck, because then Sludge calls him a pervert and tells him to leave, and then the girl pulls out a switchblade and threatens to kill him. I'm not sure where it said switchblade originally was, but apparently it was on the side of the bench. I don't know, I wouldn't want to have sex with a switchblade right there, because that thing pops open and you get stabbed by accident, or she goes crazy and stabs you. You know, God knows what actually turns her on. You know, running over people and hitting them and killing them turns her on, so probably stabbing people would too. Then we see Bozo and his girlfriend driving, talking about various people they can run over for various points in their like road rage game, as Sludge and his girlfriend are in the back too. I'm not going to say the races that they're talking about because I don't want to get canceled after the Tales from the Hood or whatever episode that was a couple of weeks ago. Tales from the Crib, that one was very bad. This one's not much, well, it's better, but the people they're talking about for extra points isn't really good. Anyways, at this point in time we see Skippy, the little kid, getting ready to ride his bike in the middle of night. It's dark out, you got no reflectors on at all, but at least you have a helmet on, so God forbid you get ran over. That helmet's going to save your life, right? Wrong. We see Skippy riding his bike down the middle of the road, making mistake number 2, because it's the middle of the night and you're riding down pretty much the middle of the road. Apparently hitting the kid on a bike and finish him off is 28 points, we find out, if you get them both at the same time. I'm not sure how you wouldn't get them at the same time if they're riding the bike, but whatever. We see Bozo turn around and then floor it towards the kid, running him over, destroying the bike, but the kid's still crawling and moving. And that's when Sludge's girlfriend looks back. He's like, you're not getting full points, the kid's still alive. That's when Bozo puts it in reverse and literally just crushes the kid's skull with the back tire of his car. And then Bozo and Sludge's girlfriend scale the car and start taking Polaroids of the dead kid's body on the ground, getting you in a close-up with the skull with the brain and everything on the road. And apparently this fuels him and makes him really horny. Wow, I don't know. And then in the car, Bozo's josing about wanting to go for another kill, and then Sludge's like, I can't, I gotta get up early. And they're like, why? He's like, I gotta go to church in the morning. And they're like, oh, okay, that's fair. Yeah, church is good. We definitely gotta go to church and be, ready for that. It's like, you just ran over a kid and crushed his skull. Why? You're not worried about church. You're going to hell anyways. Don't worry about it. And then we cut back to the gym and we see a class going on, but the teacher stops to tell the people, you gotta do what I'm doing. You gotta put more effort into it. You gotta work harder. And that's when Sludge comes up behind the teacher somehow, takes a snake and puts it back down the back of his shirt. And the guy starts freaking out and doing all these weird moves. And then the class starts doing all the weird moves because, they gotta do what the teacher's doing because he's telling them they gotta work harder. So they start freaking out on the ground. Then we see Melvin by the pool cleaning up, and then Julie comes to talk to him because she has a problem and wants Melvin to meet her in the girls' locker room to discuss her problem around 7 o'clock. And he says, that works because I gotta clean the girls' washrooms around that time. Gotta clean the toys, gotta make sure they're nice and clean for you ladies. Then we see a shot of a chemical toxic waste truck that's pulling radioactive waste into Tromaville, where they stop in front of the health club to what I thought was smoke up, because I'm pretty sure we're talking about the good drugs or the good grass that they had last time. It's not grass, it's powder. It's definitely clear sugar. Definitely sugar, kids. Don't do drugs, okay? We then see Melvin making it into the girls' locker room, and Julie is saying how she's sick of Bozo, and that really puts Melvin into panic mode because anytime he hears Bozo's name, he's like, oh, he's gonna kill me. Then Julie goes on about how she thinks Melvin is, the great guy, and she wants to do it with him, and he's like, do what? She's like, I want to do it, thing with your thing down there. He's like, oh, yeah, I got it. I know what you're talking about. Then Julie says pink is her favorite color, and he needs something pink because it makes her really hot. And she gives him a pink tutu outfit, onesie outfit, and she's like, if you put your pink on, I'll take my pink off. And it flashes her lovely lady upper boobs. Let's just say boobs. I don't know if I'm going to get canceled. It's fine. It's a mature podcast anyways. What am I worried about? Then we see Melvin in this pink tutu outfit, and he's walking into the pool area where all the lights are off, which would be red flag number 1. You're walking into a pool area that has running water, and it's complete darkness I'd be afraid walking into the pool. But anyways, Melvin goes closer to what he thinks is Julie, and the lights turn on, and Melvin's actually hugging a sheep that's all dolled up, got lipstick on, wig on, bra on, the whole 9 yards, and people are all laughing at him. Melvin runs away and runs upstairs, and everyone's chasing after him, laughing. So he decides to jump head first through this window that's upstairs and lands in a toxic waste vat below because the truck parked perfectly there. And we can see it's clearly a stunt double that jumps through this window because the guy looks a lot bigger than Melvin altogether, and the hair looks different and everything. But that's fine. It's Troma. Don't worry about it. Then we see the truck drivers putting their heads up because they hear Melvin crash into the toxic vat, and their faces are fully white. They've been doing a lot of cocaine, and then they're probably tripping out of their balls right now because they just heard something fall into the truck, and they're like, "Oh man, did you hear that? I don't know. Did you hear it? Nah, I'm sure it's nothing. Don't worry about it." Anyways, Melvin gets out of the toxic waste container. He's on the sidewalk, laying down, like spinning around in circles, freaking out. Then like everyone comes out of the gym at him to kind of laugh at him as he's freaking out on the ground. They'll start laughing at him more and more, and he looks like his skin is burning away. And then Bozo's like, "Oh, he's just faking it. Don't worry about it." And Julie's all worried about him because, he is hurt. He looks like he's in pain. He's, "Oh, if he can't take a joke, he can't be around her anyways." Then the cop comes over and, tells everyone to get back, and they come to check on Melvin, and the cop touches Melvin's skin, and literally the cop's hands go up in flames because of how bad it is. And then we see Melvin getting up and running through the crowd. He's running down the street because now he's on fire as well. And then we see Melvin at home in the washroom as his mom knocks on the door asking if he's okay. And then we see him jump into the bath to try and clean off the green toxic off of him, and the water starts to steam and boil. His body starts to change as he's screaming in pain. We see him turn into the Toxic Avenger in the washroom as his mom keeps knocking, asking if he's okay. Then after a few moments of screaming and yelling in pain and agony, the mom says like, "Oh, my little boy's finally reached puberty. I'm so proud of him. He finally hit puberty." It's like, "No, your bathroom's just been shaking and steam's been coming out from underneath the door, and there's been yelling and screaming. That's not puberty. I don't know what you're talking about. That's not puberty, lady." And then we see the Toxic Avenger running through a field, and they ends up on like the end of the street, and the sunset's going down, kind of create this Bigfoot looking scene. And then we see three guys counting up some money, and this is the weirdest group of guys ever. The main guy's like cigar face, but anyways, it reminds me of the Looney Tunes characters. I forget the technical term or like episode, but it's the three bears. You got the pissed off daddy bear, which would be then cigar face. Then you have the mommy bear, which is this guy who's dressed up as a lady, but I'm not sure if he's trying to be a cross-dresser or trans. I'm not really sure. And then you got the stupid baby bear who's really, really dumb. He even sounds stupid, to be honest with you. And a cop on patrol comes up and asks him what they're doing, and they try to give him the money that they're counting, to bribe him off, but he doesn't want it. So then they start beating each other up, and the dumb bad guy literally takes his own baseball bat, breaks it on his own head for some reason. I don't know why. And then they start attacking the cop, and then Cigar Face is like, "I'm gonna show you why they call me Cigar Face." Takes his cigar and starts burning the cop's face. Then the guy who's dressed as a girl shows off that he's got really good karate skills and starts kicking the shit out of the cop, which I wasn't expecting that at all. But there's a lot of things I don't expect, and I was heavily surprised. Now the cops all blay, and they point this gun at his face, like aiming at his nose, and then they point the gun down his crotch, and they're getting ready to cock the gun to shoot him in the crotch, and then Toxie comes up and grabs Cigar Face and throws him away, and then he grabs the other two and literally rips her hair out by the looks of it as he's like pulling them off to the side. Then he uses Cigar Face as a speed punching bag. Then while that whole speed bag thing is going on, the crossdresser character is literally with a mirror out fixing her makeup and stuff because she's a little upset. And then the dumb bad guy gets his nose, I think, literally caved right in or ripped off, one of the two. And then Toxie goes over to her and literally like pokes her in the eyes and rips out her eyeballs. And then he grabs Cigar Face, and of course, Toxie being Toxie, he grabs him by the nuts and literally throws him into like a container and like shoots him off after also using his nuts by the looks of it as a speed bag as he's like stuck headfirst into the container. And then Toxie grabs two mops and kills off the other two guys fully. And then we see Cigar Face coming out of that container holding his crotch, saying he's going to get him later on, and as he's walking off in pain. Then Toxie helps the cop get up, and we have this random guy narrating as if he's talking as Toxie, which is actual Toxie's voice. But it's just so weird because it's you don't see him really facing it, like face on. We just hear the voice happening, and it just seemed weird and added it in later on. But it's Troma. And then we see the cop in the station. As news reporters are questioning him, asking what happened, and we're clearly in the jail because we see jail bars behind. Because I wasn't sure if he was at the hospital because he's still really bloody, but we're assuming he's at the jail right now. Then we see the police chief meeting in the mayor's office going over the case, where we find out apparently Toxie's supposed to be a 7-foot-tall monster. Then we see Toxie creeping around town in broad daylight, and we see Julie going into the sauna to relax, which I thought was Julie, but I'm thinking that was Sludge's girlfriend. We see someone creeping in through the gym, covered up in like a towel and whatnot, and he's going in to scare her in the sauna, but it's only Sludge. Then we cut and see Toxie going home. He's knocking on the door because it must be locked, and his mother yells, "Who is it?" He's like, "Hey, it's me, Melvin, Mom." And she opens the door and just starts screaming at him and shuts the door right in front of his face. And he's all sad now as he's walking down the train track, and he's setting up home in this junkyard as he's collecting tires and other stuff and making his own little table and his own little sleeping area. He even has a picture of his mom somehow that he puts up on the wall. I don't know where he got it from. Maybe it's just a random picture that says mom on it, for all we know. Then we see the mayor and some other guys sitting down to discuss a piece of land, the old Rowland's chemical plant, which is now the new dumping zone that apparently is prime like waterfront zoning area, and they make a deal to, I guess, take away that area to build more homes, even though it's going to be right against the toxic waste. But it's no big deal because none of them are going to be living there, so it's not that big of a deal. And then we see a bunch of people having this like big get together. Apparently this restaurant's very fancy, though it's just called the Mexican place. And then some guys break into the place and hold it up, where we see Leroy, who looks like a mixture of Harley Quinn and like Two-Face got together and had like a wish discount baby. It's just really weird. Then Leroy points his gun at a baby, of all things, to intimidate the baby, because the baby's going to really fight you back. And then he starts bugging some teeny boppers, and then this guy stands up saying, just let everyone go, take me as a hostage. And Leroy says, no thanks, and shoots the guy right in the chest. And that's we then see Toxie's girlfriend off in the restaurant. At this point in time, she's not a girlfriend at all, but we know it's Sarah because she's blind. That's Toxie's girlfriend. Anyways, at this point, something bad happens because her guide dog kind of goes bye-bye. And we're not going to discuss that because I don't want to, and you can't make me. Watch it on YouTube. It's fine. And then the music all of a sudden changes, and then we know Toxie's coming in to save the day like he always does. He starts fighting them off, and then he rips off the main guy's arm. It takes him a few minutes to actually realize that his arm's ripped off, and then he looks down and starts screaming. That's when Toxie takes his arm that got ripped off and uses it as a bat and like knocks the guy out. And then we see Toxie fighting Leroy and Rocco, who are both apparently martial arts expert. Didn't see that coming. Again, apparently people in Tromaville are either mutants, homeless people, or martial artists. Then Rocco grabs a sword off the wall in the restaurant, and that pisses Toxie off. So he starts throwing him around the restaurant until he gets knocked out. Then we see Toxie choking Leroy as he's shoving like ice cream and whipped cream down his throat and putting a cherry on top. And then he actually rams the mixer down his throat and killing him that way. And then he grabs Rocco and pushes his hands into like the deep fryer tray and wraps metal around him, and that actually puts him into the hot boiling oil. And then Toxie grabs the guy with the one arm and pushes him into the pizza oven. And then we see him grab 2 mops and finish the job off on the other 2 as his calling card. And then we see Toxie going to check on Sarah, the blind girl, who's asking for help because her dog is now deceased. And Toxie helps her up, and they leave out the back door as the cops are just showing up. Then we see her taking Toxie, Melvin, back to her home as she's tripping going inside the door, even though she says watch your step. And then she goes to grab one of her canes so she can get around the home better, and she goes to point over where Toxie can go sit, and literally sacks him right in the right center, right dead on, and drops him. We know what his one kryptonite weakness is. Then back at the restaurant, as the cops are eating tacos as they're going over the dead bodies and making jokes about it, they're making jokes about how everyone died, and it's like, Leroy is dead by a strawberry thick shake. Then one of the workers tries to explain what Toxie looks like, but the police chief doesn't believe him at all and just says he's a drunk. And then Sarah, the blind girl, goes to touch Melvin's face, and he's like, no, you can't touch it, I got acne, I don't want you touching that, blisters and stuff, very bad, let's just not do that. And then she goes to read his hand because apparently she can read palms, and apparently he's going to be very important. She wants to read his other palm, but literally just gets a handful of junk. She's like, oops, I'm sorry, I'm blind. Yeah. And then we see a press meeting with some random doctor saying how the monster, aka Toxie, only attacks bad people. So as long as you're not a bad person, you're safe and you don't have to worry about Toxie. We cut back to the gym, and people are making drug deals, of course, in the change room. And Julie and her friend are going over their deaf Polaroids that they took and kind of get like turned on from it. And then we see the mayor again getting a massage as he's eating a giant sub, which I think he's in the gym at this point in time. I don't know, maybe he could be in his office for all I know. It's confusing, but I'm pretty sure he's at the gym. Then we see Toxie come in the gym, and everyone starts screaming and running away. And one of the mayor's guys, who's working on like this leg press doesn't even listen or even care. So Toxie grabs him and pulls up the weight and puts his head underneath the weight and literally crushes his head, and then takes the mop for good measure just for that, final kill. And then we see one of the girls going back into the sauna again as Toxie comes into the pool area. She's feeling good as she's looking at her Polaroids and, touching herself. Let's be honest. As Toxie's getting closer and closer, he's walking by the pool. He walks into the sauna area with a towel on his head, and she just thinks it's Sludge again pulling a prank, but it's not, and she screams because she sees Toxie's face, and he actually picks her up and puts her on the hot coals for the sauna and says, relax hot ass or something along those lines. I wasn't really paying too much attention on that line, but I'm assuming she dies from, hot coals on the ass. Maybe she just survives. Then as Toxie is passing in an alleyway, Pimp tries to force a hoe onto him because it's a new deal. Apparently she's only 12 years old, so she only got to pay $12 for a 12-year-old. And that's when Toxie gets very angry and starts attacking the pimp. And he calls her back up, and Toxie starts fighting off all the goons. Then one of the guys runs off after peeing himself, and that's when Toxie's like, yeah, you tell everyone. Yeah, I'm not just another pretty face around here. I'm here to stop crime. Then we see two kids sitting in the middle of the street for God knows what fucking reason. And then Bozu gets ready to run them over, but Toxie saves the kids' lives in time. Then we see Toxie helping this old lady crossing the road with her groceries, and he's like reaching his hand into another old lady's house as he's twisting off the popcorn lid for her. Then we see two kids selling bootleg shirts on the side of the street that have like Toxie, I love Toxie's face on it. And we see various groups of people talking about Toxie, and then we see the mayor and police chief and some other criminals saying how they need to kill Toxie because he's killing their business, because the whole time they've been doing drugs and whatnot behind everyone's back, keeping the crime up in Tromaville. Then we see Cigarface and a group of guys getting ready to kill Toxie as they surround him, but Toxie jumps up as they all go to shoot, and they all shoot each other, killing each other, as Toxie's now standing on this balcony giving them the middle finger as he's got flowers in his hand for Sarah. And then we cut and see Sarah. She's on the sidewalk as she's waiting for Toxie to show up, and some guys start bugging her and kind of like feeling her up and whatnot, and she's like, my boyfriend's not gonna like that. And then her boyfriend does show up, and it's Toxie. He's like, hi guys, I'm Melvin. And they all look at him and they just get scared and run off because he's the Toxic Avenger. And then we see them going out for a picnic, and she's opening this wine bottle, and of course the cork comes off and hits Toxie right in the crotch. Poor guy, never can win. And then we cut to them getting it on in their home, or her home, I'm not sure, because her home looked like it was on the ground floor, but anyways, they're in the bed and they're doing it, and we see someone living below them, and the ceiling's starting to crumble and the drywall's falling on their head, and there's like, oh great, fine. And then we see them back at the junkyard when Toxie's home, dancing up, having fun, and there's a slow dance montage where he's like full fisting her ass at the end of it. And then we hear Toxie creeping in on Julie as she's in the change room, and he pops under the bench that she's sitting on, and then she gets away by screaming as another girl, I think, sprays at him. Then after she gets away, she runs into the basement of all places for some reason. Each door she goes to is locked, and Toxie slowly starts chasing after her, and then she makes it into a door that says exit, but it's actually just a random fucking room, and she barricades the door, but there's nowhere to go from there, because then Toxie breaks into the door and he has a pair of scissors in hand. And then we cut to Bozu, who's starting to scream because Julie's stressing him out because the car's not there and he needs to drive. He needs a car to drive. Then they look over and see this old lady having issues getting into her car, so they pretend to go help her, and that's when they punch her in the stomach. And then we see her fall behind the car, and that's when Sludge grabs a cane and starts beating the crap out of her, and they steal her car. Then they see Toxie on the middle of the road, so they try to run him over, and he gets on top of the roof of the car, and they're trying to swerve to get him off, but he won't get off. Then Bozo starts asking Sludge to take the wheel of the car because he's stressed now, he can't handle it anymore. But the whole time he's doing that, Toxie's actually got Sludge by the throat and literally rips him out of the car, and then Toxie gets in the seat and starts choking Bozo a bit and makes him speed up the car by pushing on the gas some more. And they're crashing into a bunch of things, causing various car accidents and whatnot, and is, I think, pissing Toxie off a little bit more. Then they start to speed towards a bunch of kids as Toxie pulls the steering wheel off and hands it to Bozo, and then the car goes off a cliff. It misses all the kids, thankfully, and that once it hits the bottom of the cliff, it explodes. And then once the fire's all done, we see Toxie get out of the car like nothing happened. Clothes are all fine. Doesn't look like he's been burnt at all. Then again, he's a mutant, so, I don't think his clothes are mutant, but whatever. Then we see Toxie confronting this midget lady who's in a dry cleaning building as the clerk goes outside because his car's getting ticketed. And he picks her up and tosses her into the washer, and then next thing we know, she's getting like pressed into a steam press machine. And he comes back, the clerk comes back in freaking out because Toxie's already gone. And we see Toxie making his way home through the toxic waste as Sarah's reading a book, and she's scared because Melvin's not answering because she keeps saying, Melvin, is that you? And then he like touches her face, and then he confronts her that he's stressing out because he thinks he's getting out of control, and he tells her that he's the monster hero that she's been hearing about all over the town. And then they both wish they could go far away somewhere where he couldn't kill anyone out. Then we see them walking down the sidewalk as he's trying to stay hidden. He's got like a trench coat on and glasses and whatnot. Apparently they're going out to this farm area that's peaceful, and they're going to set up a camp and just live that way apparently. Then we see the mayor happy because he thinks Toxie just killed an innocent old lady. And we find out from the police chief, actually she was an international slave ringleader, and she's got a police record, you know, a mile long. And the mayor's like, oh, we can't let anyone know that. We got to just let them know that Toxie killed an innocent person. And then the mayor at the press conference says he has a team out to try and kill the monster. And then the police chief's talking to all his men, saying how he wants them to find Toxie and kill him. And also, I didn't mention before that, but the police chief pretty much acts like a Nazi. He even does hand up in there and everything. It's weird. Then we see the cop that Toxie saved with a bunch of other people that Toxie saved, like the kids and whatnot. And they're trying to come up with an idea on how to save Toxie because they're worried for him. And, you know, everyone should love Toxie because Toxie's done more for them than the entire police force has. Then we see a search party in the woods. And one of the cops like, first day and I'm hunting monsters. This is great. And then they come up on the campsite. And then we see the mayor calling in for the National Guard to come kill Toxie. And whoever, the governor on the phone is like, no, we want to capture him. He's like, yeah, capture. That's definitely what I was thinking about. Then we see the National Guard, tanks and trucks and everything setting up and heading down the road towards the campsite. And then we see one of the National Guard's guys and a bunch of people and tanks set up outside Toxie's tent as they're sleeping, because somehow they didn't hear the noise of army trucks and tanks and a large ass group of people, like literally 10 feet from your camp. But whatever, it's fine. Then the mayor says he wants to go into the tent and kill him, and the National Guard guys, one of them says, that's not the plan. And then Melvin's mom comes up and randomly says, my son's a really good boy. You have no reason to try and hurt him. And then the police chief says the orders have been given, and everyone aims their guns at him as he's coming out of the tent. Then the crowd of people gather in front of Toxie to protect him because they don't want anything to happen. Then the mayor is getting pissed off because no one will shoot him. So then the mayor tries to shoot Toxie, and one of the cop that got saved, hits the mayor's hand up, and he's like, don't you ever do it again or I'm going to shoot you. And then the mayor tries to shoot Toxie, but I'm not sure if his bullets are hitting Toxie and just ricocheting off, or if the mayor's just a really horrible shot. It's either one. So, and then Toxie starts having flashbacks of all the people he's killed and all the bad guys. Then the mayor's begging to be left alone, not hurt. And then Toxie punches him in the gut and pulls out some of his guts because he's like, you're a spineless piece of shit, essentially. Then Toxie tells the cop that he rescued to begin taking care of this toxic waste and get it out of his sight, essentially. Then Toxie makes it back through the crowd to Sarah and gives her some flowers after she fell down on her face, and everyone starts cheering as they kiss and the movie starts to end. Then Toxie says Tromaville is ridden of all evil, and maybe the next time there's trouble, the Toxic Avenger will be there. And yeah, that's the end of this movie. I love this movie. I think it's great. I think it's a fun movie. It's cheesy. The character's crazy. But yeah, it spawned a bunch of cool things. Cool cartoon. Haven't played the video game, but I'm looking forward to this new video game. And cool toy line as well. And comic book series. I think there's like 8 issues in the comic book, and I have, I think, 4 of them. But yeah, definitely cool stuff, and I definitely enjoy it. It's just a fun, silly movie, and Troma just makes fun, silly, cheesy horror movies. So definitely recommend checking it out. For me, on the Rotten scale, I would give this one an 8.5 out of 10, just because I love it, and it's just something I watched a long, long time ago, and it still holds up that nostalgic vibe for me. With that being said, though, we need to pick our next movie. It's another movie that I found free on YouTube just by doing a quick little horror movie search, because on YouTube you can actually find a lot of horror movies for free that are all uploaded in one shot, not in different clips. So this one we're going to watch is a Wes Craven movie that I've never actually seen, from 1985. We're going to sit down and watch Chiller. So hopefully it's a good one. It's probably not going to be as good as Toxic Avenger, but hopefully it won't be too bad. So we'll wait and see. But as always, thank you all for listening to the podcast. Thank you for staying here, and thank you for everything you guys have done. If you can, make sure to leave a review or rating. If you're on Spotify, leave a star rating. If you're on Apple Podcasts or whatever, leave an Apple review. I appreciate that. And most of all, if you guys can just hit that share button and share it on your social medias, share it with your family, your friends, and everything else, I would definitely appreciate that as well. Every little bit helps me, and I want to hopefully keep improving the podcast, and hopefully we'll be doing this for a little bit longer. A few years, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But with that being said, make sure to check out the outro band at the end of this episode. Toronto-based horror band Blood Opera. All their links will be down below, but you can find them on Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Facebook. Yeah, definitely check them out. Very cool group of guys, and they make fun music, so definitely go check that out. And as always, you can find all my links below. Follow me on all social medias at Typhonstein, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Discord. I'm on everything. I just
trying to get myself out there as much as possible. But yeah, definitely go check out the YouTube page, and hopefully I'll see you guys all there. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys all later. Peace.
The shadow of a stranger, turn around and your life's in danger. This crazy world's in a grave situation. Check the children, are they sleeping? Will they wake from the siren screaming? Don't blame the heavens, cause it's man's creation. Yeah, Shaku, Shaku, we're led like lambs to the slaughter. Shaku, Shaku, just getting hotter. See the light, it's the city burning. The homeless shudder cause the leaves are turning.